chapter from your English 1 book, that is A Secret for Two, which is written by Quentin Reynolds. First, before reading the story, let us know about the writer. Quentin Reynolds was an author and a war correspondent. He was also known as one of the best war correspondents for his reporting during the Second World War. And he had also published many short stories, biographies and autobiographies. So, before going through the story, let us first know the title of the story, A Secret for Two. Here, what does this title refer to? The title here refers to the secret shared between the two main characters of the story, Pierre Dupin and Joseph. Now, who was this Pierre Dupin? Pierre was a milkman who worked for the Provincial Milk Company for nearly 30 years. And after working for 15 years from the company, he got a horse for his use. And the name of the horse, at first the horse did not have a name. But seeing the horse, Pierre gave him a name and he named him Joseph after Saint Joseph, who was very kind. The horse was also a very kind and gentle horse. So he named him Joseph. First, let us go to the place where Pierre lived and worked. Okay. Now, Pierre worked in Montreal. Montreal is the second largest city in Canada, where more than half of the population speak French language. So, Pierre worked in Montreal and he lived in Prince Edward Street. And this it is a city. It's a big city. Though it is a city, it has many small lanes, and the way was very confusing. But still then, Pierre, after working for 15 years, he knew the route so well that it is said that the author said that no one in the whole Edward Street knew the way better than Pierre, because he had worked for many years. And after 15 years, when he got the horse, he named the horse Joseph, and the two worked together. They shared a very good bonding. They shared a very good relationship. And this is a very interesting story because the author has highlighted the relationship and the bond shared between an animal and a human being. So, early morning at 5 o'clock, Pierre used to arrive at the stables of the Provincial Milk Company, and they would load the wagon with bottles of milk, and Joseph used to start pulling the wagon cart. So, in that way, daily they used to supply milk to the different families living in Edward Street. And the two of them shared a very good bonding. They understood one another so clearly that, as I said, Joseph was also a very kind, gentle and clever horse. After working for a year with Pierre, Joseph became so familiar with the way, with the road, with the lanes that Pierre did not need to touch the reins in order to show him the direction or guide him, where to stop, where to go. He knew everything, and so Pierre became very proud, and he used to boast of his horse to everybody, whoever he met. Look, I don't need to control my horse, he knows the way. So in that way, he used to boast of Joseph's skill. He used to be in praise of Joseph all the time. As time passed by, they did not realize it went on for years, and after many years, both of them, Pierre and Joseph, they both grew old together. They grew old in the sense that Pierre's huge walrus mustache became pure white now, and Joseph also became very old. He was already 25 years old, which is equivalent to a human being of 75 years old. And so, in that way, both of them gradually became old, and they grew old together. Joseph, the horse, was also not able to lift his knees so high or raise his head quite as much, as he was also getting old. So, this was noticed by one of the four men of the stable named Jacques. He noticed that both of them became very old, and they grew old together. Then what happened? One morning, the president of the Provincial Milk Company came to inspect the early morning deliveries. When he noticed Pierre's condition, that Pierre was growing too old, he offered Pierre to get retired. He promised him to give a pension, monthly pension without work, but still then Pierre was not willing to leave the work because he could not think of leaving Joseph. He wanted Joseph's company very much. He had no other close one or dear one, and Joseph was his everything for him. So he did not want to leave Joseph. That was the reason why he did not want to quit his job. Then one morning, Jacques had a dreadful news for Pierre. And what was the dreadful news? The dreadful news was that in the morning, when he went for waking up Joseph, he did not wake up anymore. He was already dead. And how did he die? It was a very cold morning, and the air was also like ice that morning. Joseph, as I said, as he was already very old, he was unable to bear the cold. And due to the bitter cold, he lost his life at night, and it was discovered in the morning by the stable keeper, that is Jacques. And when he discovered this, he went and he informed the news to Pierre. Pierre was so much grief-stricken that he had there was a lifeless look in his eyes. His eyes were mirroring the grief that was in his heart and his soul. So, thinking about it, as he was walking on the road, a very big truck came approaching towards him. And the driver of the truck gave a scream of brakes and yelled at him many times, but still then Pierre was unmoved. He remained unmoved and he did not get away from the road. And this led to the truck driver to knock him down, and Pierre died on the spot. He lost his life at that moment, and the driver of the truck called the ambulance, and when the ambulance came, the driver noticed that he was already dead. And one more thing which they noticed was that looking at his eyes, looking at the cataracts in his eyes, they realized that Pierre was blind, and that was the reason why he was unable to notice the vehicle approaching in his way. And as he was also very lost in grief about it, after the death of his friend Joseph, that he remained unmoved, and that was the reason why he died. Now we are going to, in the last the secret is revealed. And now what is the secret? The secret shared between the two of them was that the secret shared between the two of them, that is Pierre and Joseph, was that Pierre had been blind for nearly 5 years. He had been blind for 5 years, which was known only to Joseph. No one else knew except Joseph. It was only discovered after his death that Pierre was blind by seeing the cataracts in his eyes, and no one knew except Joseph. So as the wagon would roll down to Prince Edward Street without any direction from Pierre, so that was one reason why no one knew that Pierre was blind, because the horse would lead him wherever he wanted. So I hope you all have understood the story. Here the title of the story is Justified. You can go through the question answers, and I'll provide you with the notes. You can check your app and you can write it down in your copy. Till then, take care, stay safe, bye bye.
Stay home, stay safe, do it for yourself, do it for our family, do it for India.